Welcome, teachers. We're so glad you found this recording about your new MacBook. If you are an elementary school teacher and you missed our training on campus, we're bringing it to you on video so that you can get the same information that the teachers on your campus got. So today you're here for all Mac and no cheese. Yes, we did have some branding help from a fifth grader, but we love it. We're all Mac today. We're switching you from your Dell device to your Mac, and we're excited you're here.
Welcome, teachers. My name is Sarah Smith. I'm with Educational Technology, and Christy.
Also with Educational Technology.
All right. I don't think, Christy, they'll need this bit.ly. There's not a whole lot to this slideshow, but in case they do want to come to it, this is the bit.ly. And like we said, we're here from EdTech and here in KISD. We have a little commercial to go over. We just want to first start off with just kind of a little warning, just a request. If you would please not adhere stickers to your computer. And you can see here on the slideshow, it has a picture of an older laptop that we had to repurpose. And so, of course, if stickers are put on these laptops, it takes a lot of Goo Gone, a lot of elbow grease. And so we just ask that you don't put stickers right on the MacBook, but we do have a picture below there of a cover that you could purchase. I know they're pretty inexpensive on Amazon and different technology stores, but you're welcome to put those on. They pop on and off. And then if you really want to put a sticker, you could adhere your sticker to the cover.
You know what, Sarah? There's 100% guarantee that the next person I need to issue your new device to won't have the same monogram as you. 100% every time.
Right.
All right. So another thing we have new for you in your room, you probably noticed, is an iPad stand. We are mostly removing the old document cameras as there wasn't a great fix for software for using with those older devices. So technology has purchased you an iPad stand that you can use as a webcam. And Sarah's going to play a video about that right now. We think those are going to be a great addition to your classroom. If you have any questions, ask your neighbor who probably already has theirs set up.
Absolutely. Okay, Christy, I'd like to minimize the slideshow and let's just start our live demonstration. We have a brand new MacBook Air, just like you guys have, and we're going to cut to a video we made prior to logging in and show you guys the screen you'll be on when you get your MacBook. It has a little side bar of a picture of books. It looks kind of like that. we will show you how to log in. And just know during this training, when you first get a laptop, there's a lot of logging in. So just bear with it. You'll have to authenticate with all the programs. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. Printers are being configured. You're getting access to your apps and your things. So just watch this portion of the video and we'll come right back to this part of the desktop. So here you're going to see a Keller ISD login. So you're going to use your email address, first name dot last name at kellerisd.net. Click Next. And then it's going to take you to your sign-in page, which is going to be kCloud. So there you can use your ID number and then your password. Click sign in and just wait patiently. It'll take a second. You're going to want to authenticate using your secondary authentication, whether it's the picture or the code on your phone. Then sometimes it actually does this process 2 or 3 times. We're not quite sure why, but it has to do with authenticating, building your profile, pushing out your apps. All those things are kind of happening in the background. So just be patient with it. And then for some reason, Christy here gets another message just to re-enter that password. You will see a message about Touch ID. We're going to cover that later. So you're going to click the button in the lower left corner about setting it up later and continue, we're sure, and then you can escape out of that window. Here you're seeing a message about signing in again. Well, this actually has to do with printers. It could happen now or it could come later in the training. What it is, when you're on campus, we're pushing out printer configurations, and so just bear with it. I know you feel like you just did this same process to log into the computer, but now if you'll notice, it's opening up a browser, Safari or Chrome, and asking you to do the login process for a different reason. You're actually getting your printers pushed down to you, but it just needs to make sure you're part of the organization. So here you can click on Don't Show This Again, and yes, honestly, it really doesn't matter what you put in that screen, but here's the window you want, the message you want about the Printer Cloud Desktop Client. When you get that screen, you know that your printers have been downloaded. All right, I hope that was helpful, teachers, to see how to log in and see that screen that will pop up anytime during the training that is going to configure your printers. When you get that message about the Print Cloud server, you know you've done everything properly, you've logged in, it's done its thing on the back end, and you can close out your windows. Okay, so the next thing we want to show you is some system preferences that are helpful when you get a new Mac. Just trust us, we have gone through all these preferences and we've picked out our favorites. So the first thing I'm going to have you do is click on the top left corner, which is the Apple, and we call this the Apple menu. And by the way, under the Apple menu, we're not going to do it now, but this is where you would shut down your computer at night or possibly restart. I highly recommend doing a restart every few days at least. Some people will say every day, but I know I'm not really great about that. But do know that that will fix so many problems. It's a great troubleshooting tip, is just try restarting. So that's there under the Apple menu. But the thing we're going to access here is system preferences. System preferences is very similar to your control panel on the Windows computer. So hopefully you use that back on your Windows device. Maybe you set up your desktop picture or your mouse appearance. There's different things. You can do all those same things here. But the first thing we're going to have you do is go to General. And then that's in the top left corner. And then here, there's about 3 things I change. I turn on Show Scroll Bars to Always. I then change the default web browser to Google Chrome. And I love that because if Christy sent me a link and I clicked on that link and it opened Safari, but all my bookmarks and history and all those things were in Chrome, that would be confusing. So we want the default browser to be Chrome. I lied. There's just 2 things I changed there. So those are the 2 things. I'm going to click the back arrow. And by the way, earlier when I said go to system preferences, if your screen did not look like mine and you had a message about updating, all you have to do is click this back left facing arrow to get back to this screen. Sometimes the district puts a pause on the Apple updates. The district wants to test those out, make sure it works with all of our systems. So that may be what you got. So just click back and you'll get to all the system preferences. So again, that was under general. The second thing I want to have you do is go to trackpad, which is down in the lower area on the right. Trackpad, and make sure when you go to trackpad that you are on the point and click section. Under the point and click section, I want you to think back on when you had your Dell computer. The Dell had a left button and a right button on the trackpad, or kind of underneath the trackpad. A lot of you did right click and copy, right click and paste, and you use that all the time without even thinking about it. Well, on the Mac, they call it a secondary click, and you notice I'm hovering over that section here. And you can define what a secondary or a right click looks like on a Mac. And know that the trackpad on your new MacBook Air is like one big button. So you don't really have that left and right button like you used to. So our recommendation under secondary click, if you click the drop down arrow, would be to set the right click for the bottom right corner. And you can definitely use these other options, but we have kind of tested this out with some other teachers, and they have reported back that pointing to the bottom right corner is most like having that right button. So, and you see the video here, they're kind of showing it to you. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to pretend like there's a line down your trackpad in the middle, and when you're ready to right click, you just point to the lower right corner. Another thing I want you to change in this window is this bottom left checkbox that says force click and haptic feedback. We have found that if you uncheck that, it is another feature that we don't have time to go into right now, but later when you're trying to do dragging and dropping of files and folders and you're trying to organize, that feature actually has kind of messes up teachers when they're trying to drag and drop and there's menus popping up and they're just trying to do a simple task. So we, for right now, have asked you to uncheck that. If you click the back arrow, that takes you back to system preferences. And one thing that is super helpful, and it's not mandatory, but it is helpful, is your Touch ID. Your Touch ID is, some of you may have this on your phone. It's taking one of your fingers, I've just chosen my pointer finger to set mine up with, and adding a fingerprint. So when it's time to type in your password on the keyboard to maybe initiate unlocking your laptop, maybe it went to sleep or it locked while you went to the restroom and you want to unlock it. Well, taking time to type in that password, takes a few seconds. Instead, you can use your fingerprint. Now, I would like for you to look down at your keyboard and know that in the top right corner of your keyboard, right above the delete key, is the button that you're going to use. That's the button that you're going to use for the associated fingerprint we're going to set up. So here's how you do it. You click on add fingerprint and you're going to type in your password. So I'm going to type in my password. And when you see the screen with the fingerprint icon, that's where it's saying lift and rest your finger on Touch ID repeatedly. So I'm going to tap. I know you guys can't see me. And lift. Place and lift. Do y'all see how it's interchanging the word place and lift in that top line of text? So you just keep doing it, and it does take a minute. I think I lifted when I wasn't supposed to lift. Christy, do you like this feature?
I love that feature. It's almost as good as having a touchscreen device, which you did lose your touchscreen device. So probably by now you've already touched the face of this device to try to make something happen. But this Touch ID is really cool.
Yes. Okay, so it says it's ready. And if it doesn't like what you did, sometimes I know I've had teachers touch a little bit too hard. It's a very light tap when you're setting it up. But when it says it's ready, you can define what it's going to do. I'm just going to have it unlock my Mac for right now. And then notice there's no save. I have my fingerprint here, but there's no save. So I can click that back left facing arrow to go back to my system preferences. Now, before we leave this window, I know it's almost time for Christy's turn, but I want to point out that the red button in the top left corner is, if you hover over it, is your close button. The one next to that is your minimize. I'm going to do a quick minimize. It will minimize down to my dock and I can pull it back up. And then the next one over would be full screen. This particular window doesn't have full screen. It would be green. So some windows do, some windows don't. But for right now, I'm going to have you close the system preferences. So that is system preferences, a great place to troubleshoot and customize your Mac.
Hey, Sarah, while we're in system preferences, will you go ahead and open it back up? Let's check to make sure that we have KISD Secure Print on this device.
Okay.
And I can do that by choosing printers and scanners in this menu. It's on the third row. As long as I see KISD Secure Print in that left-hand window, I know that Secure Print's installed. So if you are on your new device and you don't see Secure Print there, we need to help you get Secure Print installed.
And earlier in the video we showed prior, when right after we logged in, it popped up with another login. I told you there's going to be a lot of logins, and that was to install this secure print. So when we got that message about the printing cloud or whatever it said, it was fully installed. So I'm glad you checked that. Thank you, Christy.
Perfect. Okay, we're going to take a few minutes and talk about the very top bar on your computer. On the left-hand side, right beside my Apple, I see the word Finder and it's bolded. And that's the program that's running in the background of my new Mac, Finder. And the menus beside the word Finder, File, Edit, View, Go, and Window, and Help, those all reflect back on the program Finder. If Sarah were to open another program, Safari, for example, you can see that the bolded word next to the Apple changed. Now the Mac recognizes that Safari is the active program and the drop-down menus change to reflect Safari's program needs. So sometimes if you're just on the desktop and you're thinking, I'm not sure where the drop-down menu I need is, it could be that the right program's not active. Clicking on your desktop will always activate Finder, and he's a special program. We're going to talk about him last today. So along that top bar, going all the way to the right, I have something called the menu bar. And the menu bar has icons that you recognize. You see a battery life icon, you see your Wi-Fi icon, you see a search icon. This bar is almost like the bar you had on the Dell laptop in the bottom right hand of your computer. So like in your Windows environment in the bottom right. Similar things that you have quick access to. We're going to start today with Wi-Fi. Sarah, if you'll click on the Wi-Fi icon. When you guys open up Wi-Fi here, you're going to see that you're probably connected to Onboard, and we're going to switch that really quick. The reason we're going to switch that is Onboard is a student network, so it restricts what you have access to if you're a teacher if you stay on the Onboard network. Okay, so let's look at those little icons that you recognize. We're going to save Wi-Fi for the end, and the reason we're going to do that is because we're Zooming, and so we don't want to mess up our Zoom recording. You see a teeny tiny printer with a plus sign. If you need to add additional Keller ISD printers, you would follow the wizard through this. We're not going to add those now, but this is how you would start that process. You also see a search icon, and if you click on your search icon, you can search anything on your device. Sorry, I'm going to have you go ahead and search Google Chrome. And if you'll click on the Google Chrome icon, perfect, Sarah, we're going to go ahead and get you logged into Chrome.
And teachers, make sure you don't click the one that says in the App Store. I don't know why that's listed. Make sure it just says Google Chrome.
I can tell that a program is thinking or working when it's jumping in the bottom in the dock. It's kind of like the Windows spin. So I know that the computer is working in the background to get Chrome open.
And this first time it does take a while. So there it is.
When you get this menu, you're ready to start Google Chrome with the blue button. Now on this screen that's coming up, it's very important that we choose the right link to open. So we are going to choose the blue words at the bottom that say already a Chrome user, sign in. We're not going to choose the get started button. So go ahead and click that, Sarah. And Sarah's going to get me logged into this Chrome profile. And these are the same logins you're used to using every day on your Dell. And I've got two-step verification on, so I'm going to go ahead and confirm that that's
Now,
me.
teachers, you guys may be prompted to go to K Cloud, and that is totally fine. If you are prompted to go to K Cloud, go ahead and log in with your ID number and your password on K Cloud. Now, when you get to this screen, go ahead, Chrissy.
Yes, thank you, Sarah, for helping there. If you get to this screen, we're going to link your data. The reason we're going to link your data is that brings over all your bookmarks you had stored on the Dell device, and so extensions as well. And as soon as we say, yes, I'm in here, we do want to turn on the sync. You're going to start seeing my extensions pop up and then my bookmarks bar. You saw it pop into the window right there. Everything you had on the old device, if you've worked in the Chrome profile, will be here. This is the beauty of using Google Chrome.
Okay,
And I've
and
got
then
lots of extensions, so we
yes.
can ignore them.
So I'm going to, and you guys probably do too. So I'm going to go ahead and close some of her things that are popping up. She can always make sure they're logged in and configured later. So
Awesome. Okay, so now that we have Chrome open, we're going to go back up to that menu bar at the top, and we're going to look at one last little icon. And this icon looks like two slider buttons, and it looks like one slider is off and one slider button is on. So I'm going to have Sarah click on that icon. That icon is your control center. And I know right now you're looking at that going, that's familiar. If you are, you're probably an iPhone user, and you might use your control center every day, like me, to open your flashlight and turn it on. This control center is very similar to the control center on your iPhone if you have one. You'll have quick access to things here like your Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, AirDrop, don't disturb, keyboard brightness, display brightness, sound. All of those things that you need quick access to can be found here. And you can add things to this control center very much like you do on your phone. The important one that we're going to talk about right now is screen mirroring. Screen mirroring is where you AirPlay the device to your projector, to the Apple TV that we've installed on top of your projector for projection. When you click screen mirroring in your room, you're going to get a list of all of the rooms that can be reached through the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth that are near you. You're going to choose your room, and then your device, after the input of one code, will begin to screenplay in your classroom. Sarah, were you going to say something?
yeah, I was just going to tell them the location we are at today doesn't have very many Apple TVs listed, so it looks a little different. But yes, yours will be your room number, and we just have one that's a generic Apple TV. They didn't really name it anything special. But yes, that's perfect.
Yeah, we do have directions for screen mirroring. So if you are having to do this while we're not on campus to support you, we have a bit.ly and it's in the slides, and we will highlight that bit.ly again, or sorry, if you want to pull it up. It is bit.ly/KISD mirror, and the KISD do need to be capitalized, and those will give you a small set of instructions that will walk you through the steps for mirroring your device.
Perfect. And I have a lot of teachers ask me, Christy, I like to do my grades on my laptop, but I want to show a video, maybe from YouTube or whatnot, on the projected screen. Some of you are using projectors or TVs or whatever it might be. You can do that. It's all about step 6. Step 6 is if mirror displays is checked, then you're truly mirroring. What's on your laptop is going to be on your projected screen. If it's unchecked, then it's not mirrored, it's not matching, and you can just drag your windows that you, like, let's say the YouTube video example, you would drag that over. Sometimes it's to the right, sometimes it's to the left. You can kind of control that in the settings, but you would drag it over and then you could continue working on something else on your laptop. So definitely
Yes.
use these settings or these directions.
Okay, Sarah, I think that wraps it up for menu bar.
Okay, just real quickly, it's like the computer knew what I wanted to do next. I have notifications popping up in my notifications area in the top right corner. So similarly, like Christy said, I'm sure you had those on your windows in the lower right. So what I typically do, if I don't want to click on this and go into it, I hover over it and get the X in the top left corner. There's a lot of hovering on the Mac, you'll notice. If you're not sure what something means, you might try just hovering, pointing the mouse to it. And then I'm going to click the X to get rid of that. And I actually have.
So just to inform you, we can't see the notification. So that's a good thing to know that when you're sharing your screen, your notifications
Oh,
can't be seen.
you can't see what I'm doing. Okay, well, there's little
Yes.
messages up here in the top right, and you're not seeing it. That's interesting. Okay, so I'm closing those. I'm glad I was the only one bothered by them. But the main thing about notifications, it's very similar to your phone in that you turn them on in apps where you want them. So, like for me, I typically have my calendar notifying me because I don't want to be late to a meeting, but I don't want every email notifying me. So that's going to be, found in your Google apps. But in the top right corner where you see the date and time, if you click on that, that section pops out, and that's where you can see some notifications. Of course, I just closed them, and I know you guys couldn't see that. Where Christy was earlier in the control center, I love the do not disturb because if I am training and I don't want them on, I can click on do not disturb, kind of like some of you have on your phone. And I might do it for an hour. I might do it until this evening. That's a great tool for teachers if you don't want all those pop-ups, sidetracking your kids and distracting your students. So I'm going to click on that. Okay. That's Notification Center. Now, I know important to you guys is making shortcuts and customizing your Mac for yourself. In the bottom area of your Mac, you'll see shortcuts. And now Mac calls them aliases. It's a different word, but it's the same thing. These are all shortcuts or aliases to programs. Now, this whole bar is called the dock. I always think of docking a boat. It's kind of like docking a boat. You're docking your apps. But there's actually 3 sections. So if you'll look carefully at your dock on your Mac, you'll see 2 vertical gray lines. And those are just the dividers. So to the left of that left gray line, and of course, this particular Mac came with a lot of aliases. Those are just aliases that came on your computer. You can get rid of those. I'm about to show you how, or you can add to those for apps that you use more often. The middle section are the most recently used apps. So in between those 2 gray lines, and then to the right of the rightmost gray line, the right section, it is shortcuts to folders, shortcuts to files, and of course, the downloads usually comes on the Mac for you. So if I were to click on that, I could go to my downloads folder. Whatever I have open or I have minimized is down in the bottom right. And then, of course, your trash can. So if I wanted to put something on my desktop and delete it, I could just drag it to the trash later. So that works very similarly to the Windows environment. So let's talk about keeping something on the dock for purposes of having a shortcut or an alias. So we have Chrome running, and the way I can tell is it has a dot under it. So I have Zoom and I have Chrome running because they both have dots under them. Now you'll notice over on the right side, I'm actually running Safari as well. And I always am running Finder. You can't quit Finder. You want Finder running because it's part of the system. So the reason Safari is on the left and Chrome isn't is because, and I have a feeling your Mac is set up the same way, the district didn't really push that alias out on your computer. So we need to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to right click, and this would be a great time to practice how we set up your right click earlier. Oops. Can y'all see my data notice window? At some point, if this pops up, just click OK. Okay. So I'm going to right click on Chrome. So remember, however you specified it in system preferences, most of you probably chose the bottom right corner of your trackpad. I'm going to hover over the word options, and then I'm going to go over and out to keep in dock. Now it moved that Chrome icon to the left to the section where it keeps those aliases until you manually want to get rid of them. They stay there always. And maybe I use Chrome all the time as well. So I'm going to do it one more time. Right click, options, keep in dock. Okay, so if I were to right click and go to options, you would see that there's a check mark there now. So if I were to quit Chrome, which I think I'm going to go ahead and do, I'm going to quit. The black dot would disappear. So Chrome's not running anymore. And that's a great way, by the way, to free up some memory on your computer. Quit some of those apps. And then I still have the icon there. So in essence, I made us a shortcut or an alias. Now, if there's items here that you don't think you'll use, like Apple TV is an app maybe more for streaming purposes, a family who has an account and they want to stream movies and videos. We are using the Apple TV hardware, so we really don't need this app. So I'm going to right click and go to options and then remove from dock. And then it would no longer be there. Now, if I decide later I want it back, we're going to show you in just a second how, well, Christy already showed you the spotlight. I could always search for it here in my spotlight search and find it and make another shortcut. So it's not gone forever. It's just the alias that's gone, the shortcut. Another thing you might want to do with your dock is increase or decrease the size. So if you balance your mouse on one of the vertical gray lines, you'll see an upward and downward facing arrow, a double-headed arrow. And when you get that arrow, you can drag down. So click and drag down to make it smaller or up to make it bigger. I like big, so I'm going to leave it like that.
All right, let's talk about Launchpad. One of the applications in your dock has about 9 colorful squares. It looks like a rainbow waffle. We're going to click on that one. That one is called Launchpad. And if you're looking at this at our screen, or if you clicked your screen and you're looking at it, you can see it's beginning to look a lot like your iPhone. So it looks like apps. You can swipe between the pages to find the app you need, just like on your iPhone. And very similarly to your iPhone, you can drag and hold an app on top of another app to create folders for your apps and begin to organize them. Sarah's demonstrating that right now, and then she can rename that folder if she wants to, but she can begin to make that screen what she wants it to be so her apps are available quickly to her. You also at the top have a search bar. So any app that you need to find, you can search for. One of the apps I'd love for you to look at is we have self-service in the Launchpad, and self-service is the Keller app where you can download applications and programs for your device. So if you hear someone say you can download that from self-service, you would be looking for this app on your computer. You would need to sign in. We're not going to do that today. Back to Launchpad, and we're going to search for Google Drive. What we're going to do is log into your Google Drive for the first time on this device and open up the file stream part of it.
I apologize. Sometimes my keyboard gets kind of messed up here. So there we go.
That's okay. So when you click Google Drive, it's going to open up a Google window and it's going to want you to sign in. So you're going to click Sign In with Browser.
And it's prompting me to reopen my default browser, which is Chrome, and I quit it earlier. So give it just a second.
No worries. You're going to use your regular login, your email address, and the password that you always use. So you're going to choose your account. And you're going to sign in. And when you see the success screen, you have successfully connected your Google Drive to this MacBook. You can, when you get your little pop-up windows, you can click Not Now or OK, whatever they say, so that you can move along in the process. So I'm going to have you minimize Chrome. And then we're going to open up Finder. And Finder is your blue and white smiley face guy.
Can I show them a quick thing, Christy?
Absolutely.
When this is running, when Google Drive for Mac app is running, in the top right corner, you'll get a triangle and I can see that it's loading her files. Later, it's going to say it's all synced up. It's ready to go. So this is really all that indicates that it's good. We're good to go. We've logged in successfully.
So Finder is going to be comparative to File Explorer in your Windows 10 environment. So that manila file that lived at the bottom left of your screen that was a shortcut to all of your local files is what Finder equates to on the Mac. And you can see it looks very similar. When I open it up on the left, I have a sidebar, and that sidebar goes to different areas of storage for the device. So I see things I recognize like documents, downloads, and as Sarah goes down, I might see things like pictures, videos, those types of folders. One that we just loaded there, what we just did was we put Google Drive in your sidebar. So if Sarah clicks on that Google Drive, I'll see my drive and shared drives, just like in Google. And when I have Google Drive synced like this, I can download things straight to Google Drive, or I can locate files straight from Finder instead of getting into the Chrome browser. Now, one thing that's going to be different when you open up My Drive for the first time, and Sarah, go ahead and open it up, is it's not going to look organized like you're used to seeing it organized. And there's a couple of reasons why. You're going to need to set some preference so it looks how you would like it to look. So if I look at the top of this window, I have a button that's 4 squares, and it has an up arrow and a down arrow right next to it. And that button allows me to see what's in my drive in different views, just like in Windows. So I could choose a list view, a columns view. Sarah really loves the columns view on a Mac. Sarah, if you'll just go back to the icons or the list view, we'll work with one of those because they're familiar. If I go to the button next to that to the right, that's about 6 equal squares with 2 lines on top of it, that button lets me decide how I want my files to be organized. So if I switch that from no organization to the kind of file type it is, then my folders will all pop to the top in ABC order, and my different types of files will begin loading at the bottom. So you'll have to find your preferences there and how you prefer to see files in your drive, or if you choose to store files locally, you absolutely can. Just know that if they're not backed up anywhere and something goes wrong with the device, we can't recover them typically. One thing I really like to do while I'm in Finder is I like to go to the View menu at the very top of the computer window. Remember those drop-down menus we talked about earlier? We're going to go to View, and we're going to go to Show Path Bar. And what this does is it opens up a bar at the bottom of the Finder window that tells me my breadcrumbs or where I am in files. And we're used to having that in the Windows environment, so that's one reason we like to turn it on here in Finder.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're good.
I was trying to get on the folder in the breadcrumbs let me pull it up a little bit. When you double click the folder in the breadcrumbs, it will take you backwards to that folder, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, that is really nice.
The only other thing about kind of going back to what you said about Google Drive, and now it's running, because I think this is a little confusing for people. It's not like other apps that it's separate, like it's a separate app. Because you logged into the Google Drive app for Mac, it's integrated. So like Christy said, to reiterate, it's part of the Finder. So now when you click on Finder and you want to navigate to your Google Drive, that's another way to do it. And then also another indication is that top right corner, that little triangle that's doing all that work, syncing up your files. Now, the button that's found on the dock, I typically have teachers right click on that and go to options and remove it, just because it really doesn't seem to do much when I click on it. And most of the time, the Drive app is set to launch whenever you restart your computer. So that should be set up in your preferences here. So we're not going to take the time to do that right now. But if you'd like, just because this can be confusing, you can right click, hover over options, and remove from the dock. And then you're not clicking on it, wondering why it's not doing anything. Going back to our slideshow, there it is. I want to point you to a couple of resources. So that may be why you want to get this bit.ly, or you can find it on, if you already have our Kick website bookmarked, we have resources there. But we have the Kick MacBook Basics information here. We have a link to the Mac OS user guide, and that's honestly what helped us compile this information for you guys is going straight to the source, going straight to apple.com. And then our EdTech team. That's a link to our mail, our email. So we are just an email away or a ticket away, but let me point you back to this bit.ly, bit.ly/Mac no cheese. And like Christy said earlier about one of the bit.lys, it is case sensitive. So Mac is capital N and C are capital. So go to that site, scroll down to our resources. But if you already have our Kick website, and I hope you know about our Kick website because we have a lot there. Let's see here, see if I can pull it up. It looks like this. We have this slideshow, which is much, much more than what we just went over. If you're really interested in learning more about your Mac, we have a couple of FAQs, information on printing, and then some other really neat features and tips and tricks links there. So please bookmark this. And we just want to encourage you to play around. You're going to love your Mac. Once you get over that learning curve, I think you'll really love the whole Apple ecosystem that you have.